Coffee. This is a very simple story. It's essentially just two people talking in a couple of different spots, but a couple of conversations, maybe three scenes, I think. A woman is visiting her grown daughter, or college-age daughter, who's going to college, I think, at the University of Colorado. And she likes to drive out there from the Bay Area. So she'd been visiting the daughter for a week and is driving back now by herself and stops the last night in Wendover, Nevada, and goes down to the casino lounge and to unwind in the hotel and sees this guy on stage, or first sees a sign, Trent Ingersoll, for your listening pleasure, and realizes, whoa, that's an unusual name, and I know that guy. And she knows that guy since third grade or fourth grade. And then they kind of lost touch and maybe knew what the other was doing a little bit, but his family moved away after about fourth or fifth grade, and they always kind of wondered what each other was doing. They'd hear through the grapevine. But she stops, he performs, he's very good. He's one of these casino performers who you sort of can't understand the difference. You can't see the difference between him and the very talented people on TV and on, major recording stars and this and that. There probably isn't much difference, but maybe they wanted it worse, or they caught a lucky break, or there's some reason, but that's his life. He performs in this casino, and he actually lives in the town. And so he invites her back after his show. Let's go back to my house. So they sit outside, and it's a warm evening, and they're, again, the high desert there, right near the Utah border, but in northern Nevada. It's pleasant. And she starts to unwind, and she kind of ends up confiding a secret in him, and he confides one in her from way back. There's something about, even though they really haven't known each other all these years, something about there's a bond that they had when they were young, third, fourth, fifth grade, and it still sort of exists. And so it sort of allows them to open up to each other. And it's very simple. And at one point, though, separate from the secret, she asks him how long you've been here, what's going on, or what has happened in your life that you could possibly end up in Wendover, Nevada as a musician, as a performer. And he basically says you don't want to hear it, but you sort of assume there was something in there that he doesn't want to talk about. But she asks him how long you've been here. He says, well, I sold my condo in Walnut Creek 6 years ago. The timing was good of the market. And so that's it. And now I own a little house here, free and clear. It's a lot cheaper, and I'm all set. And she says, oh, my God, 6 years. What do you do all day? She can't fathom somebody from her world there back in school, living out here and making it work. She just doesn't understand it. And he says, well, my big thing in the afternoons, I teach music at a music store, teach lessons. And she says, how far is that? Well, that's Elko. That's it's an hour and a half. And she's thinking, oh my God, you drive an hour and a half just to teach, an hour and a half back, 3 hours a day, and then you're performing in the casino. What kind of life? But he's somehow content. It works for him. She can't really understand that. But the main thing is he discloses a secret, and then she comes up with one, and they're not, it's not like they're going to, have a relationship or anything. She's married, and he's respecting that. And, but there is this kind of a unique bond, and what I'm hopefully trying to convey is that they're speaking to each other in a different way than they would be speaking to most other people, simply because they were kind of joined at the hip back since third, fourth, and fifth grade. Okay, coffee. Coffee. I thought you died, Trent said. Gosh, Alice said, do you always jump to such conclusions? I heard something, he said. You were in South America, and there was an accident. Alice shook her head. You're looking at me as though you're still not sure, that I need to disprove it. I'm just saying, Trent said. That was Sharon Westlake, Alice said. We were in college, but she made it, though she limps. Oh, I'll have to tell her I ran into you. She'll get quite a kick out of it, especially here, this circumstance. Well, it's about that time, Trent said, drinking up. Any requests? Gee, how about Would Ichiku Park work? Dang, Trent said, the Small Faces. Of all music, how'd you come up with that one? I won the 45, she said. You remember on KYA they gave away records if you were the correct caller? You had to go down to the station and pick them up, Trent said. Yes, I forgot about that. That was so much fun. You got to meet the DJ, whichever one was on the air. I always went to sleep with the radio on, Alice said. My dad would come in later and turn it off. I did too, Trent said. Those DJs, it was an act, but it was like they were speaking to us direct. This artificial world, but we were in it. I know. Every day. You don't have that now, Alice said. Trent had a guy with him on stage who synthesized instruments, including the drums, and sang a little backup. Trent played guitar and keyboards, and Alice was amazed by his vocal range. By the third set, it was mostly drunks in the audience. A woman requested When Irish Eyes Are Smiling. Trent's rendition was so clean and pure that Alice cried. A guy yelled out, "Hey, what about something Italian then?" Without missing a beat, Trent launched into Luna Mezza Mare, and half the lounge was standing and having fun now, and he medleyed it into Havana Gila to close the evening. Come back to my house for a while, Trent said to Alice. I'm not going to bite you. A band was setting up, getting ready for the late show. Alice was in the middle of driving home from visiting her daughter in Boulder. She was tired, but what were the odds of this? The cheesy sign had said, "For your listening pleasure, Trent Ingersoll." She had to admit the casino smoke was getting to her, and a little desert air, how could it hurt? It was a warm night, and Trent made iced cappuccinos, and they sat out and back. This hits the spot, actually, Alice said. Glad you like it, Trent said. I stole the machine from the casino. Excuse me? The guy that rotates in on my days off? He got sick, so I worked 17 nights straight. They're supposed to pay me overtime for that, but they didn't. So I took the machine. Whoa, okay, I'm not going to go there, Alice said. But your versatility, I'm not kidding. I couldn't believe it. You're saying you enjoyed the George Jones selection then? I'm not sure who that is, but seriously, I mean Motown, country, schmaltzy pop, the Allman Brothers, heck, even Jason Mraz thrown in. Not to mention Ichiku Park, easily as good as the record. All in a day's work, I guess. And then at the end, you got to me with When Irish Eyes. You're Irish? On both sides. My mom came over. It's funny, you never think of that stuff when you're kids. Yeah, I can see it now. And then the Italian song and the Israeli one. You blew me away, actually. Nah, those are no big deal. I sang all three of them once at a luncheon at the Italian-Irish Jewish Club. There's such a place? Yeah, it used to be anyway, in South City. So, you're Jewish then? No, I'm none of those. I was a member for a while to use the handball court, and they found out I was a musician. How about we shift gears, though? Of course, Alice said. What do you want to talk about? You tell me, Trent said. Okay, then. What circuitous route could you have possibly taken to end up in Wendover, Nevada? West Wendover, Trent said. Remember, Wendover is across the street from the casino, but you're in Utah then. I'm not knocking it, Alice said. I'm just curious. I could piece it together, but you'd be bored. How about you? You must have a few interesting secrets you've cultivated over the years. I do have one that I carry around. It's not for public consumption. Trent went inside and got some brandy and a couple of glasses and turned off the lights. You could hear the occasional big rig on Highway 80 against the hum of the crickets. My God, that is some sky, Alice said. The high desert, Trent said. It can be soothing. I got one I carry around too. Do you own this place, she said. I do. Free and clear, actually. I sold my condo in Walnut Creek. The timing was pretty good. How long ago was that? 6 years. Jesus Christ, Trent. What do you do all day? Well, the main thing, there's a music store in Elko. I give lessons in the afternoons. How far is Elko? An hour and a half. I'm good with it. I think about stuff. So, what is it you're carrying around? She said. Trent took a moment. I had a crush on you at Grant, he said. You knew that, right? Then we moved. I remember, that was after 4th grade. I always wondered where you went. My dad was a big dreamer, was always losing his latest job, Trent said. Every boss was incompetent. I came home from school one day, and I realized he was screwing around with one of the neighbors. I told my mom, and she left him. Wow. So you blame yourself? Yep. Gosh, if I can ask you one question, it's not exactly related, but would you have recognized me? You're jumping around. What you're supposed to say is, you had nothing to do with it. It wasn't meant to be with your parents. You don't need me to tell you that. Anyway, you driving straight through tomorrow? I'm hoping to. Always seems crazy to stop off once I get past Reno. Trent said, to answer your question, you don't look all that different, and you have the same body language. You're playing with me, but I'll accept it, she said. Stick around another day. We'll go out to the Salt Flats, he said. Alice slid down in her chair and put her head back and looked at the stars for a while. If I tell you my secret, will you think worse of me? It's possible, I guess. My daughter. She's not my husband's. So? So? She's 19. I never told him. Or her. Good. Seems pretty minor, honestly. All the hands people get dealt. Don't be an idiot and worry about it anymore. Trent drove her back to the hotel. It was past his bedtime. Tonight definitely threw him out of his routine, and when he got home, he hit the pillow right away and slept for 9 hours. He was finishing his morning loop through the neighborhood. It was old-fashioned, but he liked to power walk, swinging a light barbell in each hand, and there was Alice's car in the driveway. When you mentioned the flats, she said, getting out, those are the Bonneville Salt Flats? Correct. Years ago, they ran commercials of people trying to break speed records there. I think during NFL games. No idea what the product would have been, but I liked all the white. Alice said, did you ever watch the 49ers at Kezar? A couple times with my dad. When they moved to Candlestick, he said, forget it. There was a Mexican place on Geary, she said, festive, very popular after the games. El Sombrero, we went there all the time. We don't have to do the Salt Flats, Alice said. Why not? They're only 12 miles away. If you're worried about my lessons, I'll call the store and cancel them. I'm going to leave in a minute, she said. The reason I came back here, I called Keith last night after you dropped me off. He knows now. Jeez, Trent said. So mainly I wanted to thank you. I can't express how good it feels. Your daughter too, he said. We're going to massage that one. We'll do the right thing. He's a good man then. If it were me, I wouldn't have taken it well. Alice stepped forward and gave him a hug. Mentioned once again how Sharon Westlake would get such a kick out of this, and got in the car and drove away. Trent stood there for a minute. Then he went in the house, took a shower, and made himself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The day was getting on, and it was time to head over to Elko.